Just wait. Just wait.
Start recording.
Yeah, started now. So yeah. So yeah.
So we were
Yeah.
doing loops, and then you showed us how to end a loop with a break.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask is, how do you start it from a value that's not the first,
Okay.
or
So
your first this thing object?
now I get what you're saying. So there's different ways to do it, but I'll show you one. If you did the work, you would have you'd have an idea. But anyway, so I'm going to what should I call this? Okay. Uh, so whatever. So on Saturday, I sent you guys like 3 documents to go over. So I asked you to research the range function, right? And what it does. But range is it's also, so I'll go RNG equals to range. You don't normally use it like this, uh but you'll use it. You'll see how we use it. You can use it in different ways. But anyway, so now I said RNG equals to range right here. You see that, right?
Yeah.
And then it shows me this piece of whatever document here. So range, and it says stop, and it says int there. So param stop int, and then it shows you different things that you can use it for. We'll go through that. So what the range function, you can run the range function in 3 ways, maybe more. I'm familiar with 3, but when I give it a number, let's say I give it 5, right? And let's just print that out. Uh, and I'll just go nope. Oops, and then range. Right? You see that? See what
Yeah.
happened? You see that? So it gave me a list of 0 to 4. You see that? So meaning it starts at 0 and it goes up to 4. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So another way to use it. So like if now I was to say 1.5 comma 5, sorry, 1.5. So I'm telling it to start at 1 instead of starting at 0. By default, it starts at 0, right? So now if I run that, it goes from 1 to 4. You see that?
Yeah.
So it doesn't include the uh
Fifth.
yeah, it doesn't include that. So it's your n minus 1, where in this case n is 5, right? So that it gets to up to 5, but not including 5, right? So that's what it does. So now, Cree, for your question, let's say you
Oh,
have
that name is dead, huh?
sorry.
That name is dead.
Sorry, man. Karabo.
God damn.
Now let me let we no. So let's say we have our numbers here, right? One. Let's say we have. So we have that, right? And let's say you want to start at 4, right? You want to start your loop at 4. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to just go size equals to len of our numbers, right? Right? We're good, right? So far. Then I can just go 4. So I normally uh for I in range. Well, what do you think I should use here to start if I wanted to start at 4? Which version of the range should I use?
Three.
So I'll go 3, and with, and then
You didn't
Wait, I
tell me
think you
where
should
you want
still use 4.
you want to use 4. Let because
Okay, let's try
Nati,
with the 3. Let's try with the
yeah.
3.
So and then 3, and then after that,
Did you say where you wanted to
sorry.
end?
Yeah, so you wanted to start to add a place where it's not 1, right? Or the first index, meaning 0 in this case, in our
Okay.
case, right? So you want to start your loop somewhere. So now you said you're starting it at 3, right? And I just showed you 2 versions of the range where you give it one number, and if you give it one number, it goes from 0 up to that number, right?
Okay.
But now you want to start at this position here. That means, and then where do you want to go? Up to what do you want to go?
I'm
Up
waiting
to
for
what
you.
spot? Are you waiting for me to do it?
No, because you asked me where to start. I don't know where
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
supposed to end. Where am I supposed to end?
Well, I'm asking you, where do you want to end, and how would you do that? That's my question to you.
Okay, if I want to end at the number 8, I'll say comma 8.
So, comma 8, right?
Yeah.
And then, so if I wanted to print the numbers from the array, like how would I do it?
Print.
Yeah, print.
My goodness. I.
Okay. Did I run it?
Yeah, but I'm not sure about it.
Okay, so if I do that, then go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
Yeah.
What?
I wanted to end at 8.
You want it to end at 8? So you use what? You want to do 9?
Why is it starting at 3 and not at 4?
Well, because 3,
Because I'm thinking this is following like the indexing kind of
1,
rule
2,
where it starts with 0.
yeah, and
So if we wanted to start at 4, then we should use index 3. If
yeah.
we're using the indexing rule, then the 3 there should be 4.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So you know why that's the case, right? So let's just let me print this here. Let me go RNG like we had and make that, right? And then print. So here let's use RNG. So we know that RNG is our range. Then so look at that, right? So we are actually printing the things in our range. You see that? So if you look at the range, it's 3 up to 7, right? And
Okay.
so it prints it like that. So the reason that's happening is the I was trying to, so this I here represents the index, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So since it represents the index, if I want the number in numbers to print out something, I'll do number I, right?
Yeah.
And then in that case, it should print out 4 up to 8.
Okay.
Because this is just the indices. But like I think if I did something like maybe actually numbers dot sort, right? You see that? You guys see what happened, right?
Okay.
Does it make sense? Because I reversed here, I reversed my list, meaning so what happened when you reverse your list? You start at
Meaning it starts with
it.
0 and ends with
No, it
9.
starts with 9, and oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, actually, no. It starts with 9. It starts with 9 and ends with 0.
Oh, because it sorted them in
Yeah,
descending order.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's what happened. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So what we do, so maybe it would make better sense if I used something else like uh so let's use this in for this one. Let's say we wanted to start at, so the size, let's make the size of, well, it actually doesn't matter. But anyway, so you want to start at 3, right? So actually, let's just start at 2. So I'm actually going to remove this RNG here. We don't need it anymore. And then I'm going to remove that. So you want to start at 1, right? And then end at the last one. So here we want to have the size of fruits because we want to start at 1. Meaning, so actually we want fruits. So then we get kiwi, orange, pear. You see that? So, but if I was to print, if let me print the I with the fruit, right? So I have prints, and then I printed I 1 kiwi. You see that? Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions? No questions. Mr. Jack.
None for me.
Whew, this man. Goddamn, bro. You gotta chill, yo. Cool. So yeah, so we use range. So actually, let me show you. There's another form of range that I didn't show. So you have for I in range. This one there. You see what happened? Huh? You guys see what happened?
Okay, yeah. I picked that up.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain it?
This is the new one we
Yeah.
just did. So for I in range, give me from the first index to the 10th index, but skip every second one.
Cool. So it's
Which is
yeah,
which,
yeah. So they're not necessarily in index or indices. Uh they are, it's just the number, but you can use them as indices when you want to because you already know how they work, right? But you can actually use them you can use the number for whatever. Like let's say now something is in my eye. Yo. Oh shit. So let's say we wanted to sum, like actually let's look at one of the problems we had. What was this? Which one was it?
someone's feeding.
Okay, cool. Sorry?
Now feedback from someone.
Is there still feedback?
Cool. Gone. Continue.
Okay.
Now it's
Okay,
gone.
cool. So now let's say we have, like, looking at this first one here, right? Sum all numbers between 1 and 100, right? So however you want to interpret the question, that's not the problem. If you understand it as 2 to 99, it's fine. As including 1 and 100 is fine, or including either one, it's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is getting it to add those numbers that you're adding up, right? Come on now. Okay, cool. So how would you guys do it? What ideas do you have to solve this problem? So let me do this. I'm going to do this. Do that. Yeah. So you want to add.
My goodness.
Any idea, Jack?
So yeah, we'll still use that one where we do that loop. So
Which one?
let's say for example you said let's say you said just do any value there. Maybe let's say x is equals to
X equals to.
just say maybe 1. Let's say 1.
Okay, 1. Yeah.
And just for
4.
for I in x, let's say for I in x.
Why?
Wait, let me
Will that
see.
work?
Well, I'm not sure, but I remember you did something like this, and then you would say x, what is it, I plus 1. So then
Yeah.
it keeps on adding those.
Yeah. But when you say I in X, you're expecting to get some value from X, right?
Okay.
And our X. Let's print out what I is and see what happens, right? And I mean, it's already complaining. So it's saying int object is not iterable, right? So you cannot iterate on a number, right? So that's why I'm like, this won't work because you cannot iterate on your number.
No,
Yeah. So you do have the right idea, but so maybe Gosnachi wants to add something. I don't know. What ideas do you have?
I don't know how to put it. I don't know where it comes in, but I think there should be a point where x is equal to x plus 1 or something like that
Okay.
for it to be iterative.
No.
Yeah,
So let me write the first one, right? We have 1, 200, or 101, whichever one you want to use, right? Whether you want to include 100 or not, that doesn't matter. Or if you want to go from 2 to 100, meaning from 2 to 99, that doesn't matter. Like I said, that's not the problem. So why do you have your X as 1? Well, let me give you another clue. So I'll give this a different name. I'll give it total, and I'll make it 0, right? So this is the variable you'll be using to store your sum, and then I'll just keep that as total at the bottom. So what do we need to do here in order to make this the sum between 1 and 100? Huh? No, nothing.
I think you need to say total plus 1. Then it should carry on doing that one. That
Okay,
total
so
plus
equals to total plus 1. That's what you want. Then we don't print anything there, right? Is that what you want? I will comment that out. Cool, and then so we get 100. That's definitely not the sum of the numbers between 1 and 100, right?
You got it. Is there some function?
There is, but we're not gonna use it now. We're not using it. There is a sum function. Well, why do we have I here, first of all? What is I? What does I represent?
It represents what individual numbers between 1 and 101, I think.
Yeah, and so why aren't we using I?
So I think we should say total plus I.
Yeah. So if you have total plus I, then it works because you're adding the number, not the count. So if you wanted to count how many numbers are in this range, that's what the I plus 1 would be that, right? But now you want the total sum of those numbers, right? So you are adding those individual numbers that you're not counting. You're not counting, but you're adding. If you get what I mean. So now there we get that 50-50. You see that? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because so we start off our
that first part. That's line number 13.
Yeah.
Explain why you do that.
So I'm initializing my total to 0, right? Because that's initially I haven't added anything, so I want to keep the total in the beginning, right? So I'm initializing it to 0. So you get that, because I need to add on to that because I'm adding the numbers one at a time, right? So I'll start the first time. Okay, take the current value of total. When it starts, the value is 0, and then you're going to add 1, right? Then you're going to add 1 to it. And then when you come the second time around, I will be 2, and your total will be what? Your total will be 1, because in the previous run, you added 1 to it, right? And then you add 1 to 2, and then after that you have 3, and then you add 3 to 3, and then you get 6, and then after that, so on and so forth. You get that? Yeah. I forgot what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this.
Can you just make that total equals to 1 and then see how it goes when you start?
Okay, I wanted to show you this thing. So see what happened. That didn't change. So this is equivalent to sorry. See that? So this here is the same as this, what we had before. So we can just say total plus equals to I. So yes, it's just the shorthand version of saying total equals to total plus I.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Jack, what do you say?
I was saying if that total is equals to 0, we put total equals to 1.
Okay,
I want
1.
to see whether it will be 50, 51 odd.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sharp. Makes sense.
Cool. No more questions? We're good. So that means you should be able to do this one. And this one. You should be able to do like the only thing that was missing from the questions that I sent on Saturday was the range function, but I said you should do some research on it. But anyway. Boom. I need loops. Let's just do another loop. So we looked at the for loop, which looks at iterating in a like sort of a known space beforehand, right? So we saw that with our loop we have some finite collection that we're looking at, right? So like collection, when I say collection and when I say sequence, think of them as the same thing. So like in here, when we looked at this, our collection is the range, is the numbers between 1 and 100, right? But when we looked at, I'm going to uncomment these guys over here, save that. Here even here we looked at the collection. We looked at the collection here, which is the range, and also the collection here, which is our fruits is a collection of fruits, and in the other one, so we were iterating over a particular collection. Let me just to put it lightly. But let's say you wanted to have some kind of behavior, right? Given some condition is true. You get me? So just stop me if you don't understand what I'm saying. So let's say you are, let's say you're at the let's say you had boku money, right? Buku money, that's what they call it. And you wanted to play until you hit a jackpot, right? How would you do that? Get that? So there's another version of a loop where instead of working with a collection, you work with a condition. So they call it a while loop. So what it says is like, while a certain condition is true, do something, right? So while condition here, so you have your condition there. While this condition is true, well, and then print something, right? You print something there. So we've worked with conditions when we were working with our if statements. So let's say boom boom boom. Let's say we have, I'll just call this number equals to 15, right? Let's say while 15 is less than, while 15 is less than, while number is less than 2, actually. Let's do that, right? What do you think will happen here just by looking at it? Anyone?
It will print something twice.
Twice.
That's my guess.
Okay. And you, Jack?
Oh, once.
Okay.
Once.
Jack?
Well, it won't print anything because number is greater than 2, I think.
So there, it doesn't print anything. It doesn't print anything because this condition is false. Like 15 is is not less than 2. So it will not run this part, right? So it will just continue with the rest of the program. Say, oh, this condition is false, then it will continue with the rest of the program, right? Now, what happens if I do this?
You print something.
How many times? And why?
Sure.
I think it will print it 13 times.
And you?
No,
That's my
yeah, I
guess.
think 13
That's my
times.
guess. It's the same as his answer.
All right. Y'all are both wrong. Look at that. Look at that. You see, look at the bottom. You see that? Boom, 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 boom.
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
Ah.
So that's one thing. That's one thing you should be careful of, right? Be careful your loops do not run forever. So that's called what we just did there is called an infinite loop, right? Because this condition will forever be true, right? So
Yeah.
how do we make sure our condition, our loop breaks? So we break out of the loop when this condition becomes false. So what should we do inside our loop to make sure that this condition should change over time or over iterations, right? So it should change. We don't know when. So that's the main difference between the for loop and the while loop, right? When you use the while loop is I don't know when my condition will change, right? And then so, but I know, well, you should know, or you should have some form of breaking outside of your loop if you don't you because you don't want your loop to run forever, right? So what do you have to do to make sure your loop does not run forever? Anyone? So we have to, one thing was, let me give you a hint. We have to change the value of number inside our loop. Yes. So we have, like, we looked at this guy right here. This, we were changing the value of total when we're using our for loop, right? You saw that, how we're changing the value of total within our loop. But in here, we have to change number within our loop, right? To make sure that our condition at the top will be false at one point in time, right?
Okay.
Shouldn't maybe we be subtracting something, maybe like 1 from number, so that number keep decreasing or something like that?
Yes, right? And how would you do that? I'm just gonna print out number so that we can see when we're printing it. Yeah, but anyway, how would you do that?
I think below a number is equals to 15.
What? I'm going to say number equals to 15.
No, just below number is equals to 15.
Below line 1.
Below line 1. Yeah?
Yeah, there you can see number is equals to number minus 1.
How does that help us?
Doesn't then when the oh no. I was thinking then it looks at 15, then it looks at number again afterwards, whether the condition still exists, and by the time it looks at number for this at whether the condition is still the same, then
So one thing you should know, the program doesn't go back up before the loop, right? So it goes into the loop and then runs once, comes back to the top of the loop, not to the top of the program, right? Because but if let's say it did go to the top of the program, right? So it would run this, right? Oh, this is false. Go back to the top of the program. If it goes back to the top of the program, that means it will change this to 15, right? And then change it to 14 here, and then come back here, and then go to the top again, change it to 15. So that doesn't help us anyway. But it doesn't go back to the top of the program. But even if it did, it wouldn't work. You see that?
Okay, then.
Yeah. So this is correct, but it's just in the wrong place, right? So instead of having it there, just have it in there. You have it inside the loop, right? Because it'll start off as 15, check, oh, it's 15 greater than 2. It's like, no. And there, yes, yes. And then prints 15 something, and then subtracts 1 from 15. And then now you have 14, and then it goes back, is 14 greater than 2? Yes. And then so on and so forth. Now let's see. If we run it now, you have that, you see. You go 15, 14, and then up until 3, right? You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Jack.
Yeah, I hear you, Lev. I hear you.
Yeah. So let's say I would say that, but it's too complicated to do. But now so I showed you the break right before. So you would essentially use the break the same way if you wanted to break early given a certain condition, right? You could do the same thing in here. Maybe you said if number is divisible by 3, right? Number is divisible by 3, then we want to break, right? So you see that we go 15, 14, 13, and then since we got a 12 there, right? So we got a 12 because we printed our 13, then we subtracted by 1, and then we looked at the new value which is 12, and then it gave us that is divisible by 3, and then it broke out of the loop. You see that? Yeah. So now let's say
But 15 is also divisible by 3.
But 15 so you start at 15, right? You print 15, right? And then you subtract 1. So when it looks at the number here, it's not 15, it's 14. See that? So that's why it didn't work for 15. So if you wanted to make it work for 15 as well, so maybe just move this to the top, right? Or before you change your number. You see that? So now we're looking at it before we change this 15 into 14, meaning it'll just print 15 and then it'll say I'm done. You see that?
I understand.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, your breaks work the same way as they did with the for loop. Maybe I should show you another thing that I didn't show you in the previous one. So there's a couple of things actually. So boom. Let me move this to the top. Let me move this up, and then so you guys understand the break, right? Just to
Yes.
be cool. So there's another other things that it's like similar behavior, but it's not the same. It's like you're using it to manipulate the behavior of the loop in some way, right? So this is what these things are doing. So there's one so-called continue, right? What do you think this does? Huh? What do you think it does? Nothing?
Uh, it's confusing for me because it seems like continue is contingent on something.
Well, a break, you use your break within your loops, like you use your continue within your loops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you break out of your loop, and then like in a similar fashion, like I just want to know what your thoughts are about continue before I explain what it is. So I just want to see what you think about it.
I think continue has to happen if there's some sort of disruption before.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's
No,
like that's what that word means to me.
okay, like in the sense that if you there was a problem and then you want to you say I acknowledge this problem, now continue, right? That's what you're saying.
I'm not sure.
Like let's say,
Okay, I'm saying let's say you said if a number is divisible by three, break,
yeah,
and then you say but if and then if something happens, continue.
okay, I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
that's
that's
what
the
it is.
normal behavior anyway, right? So I asked the question because continue is actually misleading, right? It's so think of it as skip. That's what you think of continue as, right? So it's saying continue to the next iteration, right? So that's what it's saying, right? You see that?
Okay.
But now, what do you think this loop? What do you think will happen in this loop? What do you think will happen? Just by reading the code, what do you think will happen? So just start from the beginning, line one to up. Yeah,
It will give us it'll give us 15,
yeah,
and then it'll give us 14, 13, then it'll give us 11.
yeah. Nah,
Ah,
like you'll see. Look at that. Look at that. You see. You see what's happening.
I see nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. So the program is running though. The program is running. It's just not doing any. It's looks like it's not doing anything because first of all, when we start, so I said continue means go to the next, run the next iteration in the loop, right?
Okay.
So, but here when we first start, it says 50. Now let's change this to 16, right? Let's change that to 16 and run it again. You see what happens now. Actually, I've been running this thing like I see why. Like there's something I've been running this thing with Python 2, not Python 3. So you see that.
Okay.
So it said 16 and something. You see at 16. So it started off with 16 and said it's 16 divisible by 3. No. So that means it didn't say continue, meaning it got to this part. So what continue is you skip the rest of the code. So you will not run this. So this part will not be ran if you run your continue. So you're basically saying go back to the top when it hits the continue, it's saying go back to the top. That's what it's saying, right?
Okay.
So now you get it to 15, right? Let me just stop this program. So you get it. So you did this. It was 16. Then you printed that, and then you reduced your 15 by 1, right? And your 16 by 1, and you get 15. And
Yes.
then when you get here, 15 is divisible by 3, right?
Okay.
So that means it continues. When it continues, it goes back to the top of the loop. But our number is still 15. So our 15 never gets to change, right?
Ah, I see that.
Yeah. So that means, how do we fix it? I want this code to behave to behave. So I don't want it to be an infinite loop, right? So how do I make sure it behaves? What do I need to change within the body of the while loop to make it complete?
You need to switch line 5 and line 6.
No, not line 5 and line 6, but line 6, and so you move it to the top. So you decrease
Okay.
you decrease it before, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
see-
yeah. Before we check if it's divisible.
yeah. So you move it to the top. So, but now the only difference is now this will start at, so you're reducing it by 1 and you're saying 15, right?
Yeah.
So, but now this will not behave. Now you start from, well, you said 14, but 16. We skipped 15. You see that? We want 16. So how do we get our 16 back?
Ah.
You see what I did? Nope, nope, nope. Yeah, actually, that's fine. Do you see? So I'm saying, okay, before you start and manipulate a number, right? Assign number to x. Then I'm going to change the value of number, but x will be the previous value of number, right? So
Yeah.
I'll have 16 here, right, to start, and then I'll reduce my number to what? To 15, right? But I'm still checking x, meaning when I check x, x is still 16, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to print 16 something here. And then when I come back, the value of number changed to 15. That means here I'll assign 15 to x, and then I'll reduce number, which will be 14, but I still check the number against 15, right? You
Okay.
get, yeah. So that's what that is doing. So now if I run that, it starts off with 16, and then 14, 13, then you see that.
Okay.
Mm. So that's that.
Wait, Leo, but then does this mean that the something that you print with 16 correlates with the code for 14 or something?
Sorry, repeat that.
Does it mean, like, let's say for example, when you print x is if x is 16, right?
Yeah, which is the initial value of number, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then by the time that x is being printed, it correlates with, let's say for example, that's something that you have there. The word
Yeah.
something, you have it after doing a code for number -1 or what?
Well, it's like in the same time. So your number in one iteration, right? Your number is has two values, right? So it has the value at the top where, so like initially, right, you have your value, your number as 16, right?
Mm.
But then within the same space, soon after, actually just the line after, your number here has value 16, but your number here has value 15. You get that? So
Yeah.
yeah, so at the end of the loop, your number has decreased by 1, right?
Oh,
So
but everything that happens from line 5 up until line 7 still correlates to the number that is X, like the initial value of number.
yes,
Then the line 4 number is just for when the loop comes back for the next time.
yes.
Okay, complex stuff.
Now you'll once you get into the habit of working with them, they'll move
Yeah.
smoothly. Yeah. We good?
You both.
Yeah, both. Cool. Oh wait.